Welcome, everyone. Joe Charnowski with ECRM, and I have with me today Anthony Trani, who is the CEO of Elenco Electronics, and he's also a member of the Board of Trustees of the Toy Foundation. And today we're going to talk about toys and giving and a whole bunch of fun stuff all around inspiring imagination, invention, and exploration through toys. So, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. And to start off, because I know you from a while ago, and you've made a big change switching from the snack food and confectionery industry to toys. Tell us about your decision and what you think of the new industry so far.
Sure. And Joe, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me on. Yeah. So look, I have three kids, and so I went from making candy to making toys. So still a pretty popular job in my household. And I think what I would say is I am incredibly passionate about building brands and creating products that kids and their families will love. And that's what I loved about my time when I was at Bazooka, and that's what I love about being at Elenco and our flagship brand, Snap Circuits. Snap Circuits has been at the intersection of where learning and play collide for over 20 years. We've got a bunch of new exciting things coming down the pike. And to me, that is where you start to kind of build that brand and create those products that put smiles on kids' faces and really, the entire family.
And you got a few of the toys behind you. Tell us a little bit about them and Snap Circuits.
Yeah, sure. So everything that you see here is brand new, which is great. So in a very short time, we've built an incredibly robust innovation pipeline. We've got this is a really cool one. This is called Flight Deck, and so it's meant to kind of retail somewhere in the $20 price point, and it's a paper airplane launcher that you build yourself, and so you learn about how planes work, you learn about lift. So you're not only learning, but you're shooting paper airplanes all over the place, which is fun. I played with this a lot when we were at Toy Fair. That's great. But we think there can be a lot more to STEM toys. STEM has this kind of reputation of being very serious.
Mhm.
We want to make it more fun. As I said, we're all about where learn and play collide. And so this is Snap to It. So this is a board game that we've created that launches in a month. And we say it's the board game where strategy meets science. And so there's a communal battery in the middle, and every player gets a light at each end of the board. And you have to build a circuit from
Mm.
your light to the battery. And whoever lights their light first wins. And it's a ton of fun. There are ways to steal pieces from players. There are ways where you can lose turns, skip a turns. It's really fun. I played it with my girls. My 7-year-old is the undisputed champion of Snap to It at our house. And then this is kind of one of our more kind of traditional kits. It's got over 125 projects. So, if you think about parents wanting to keep their kids engaged for a really long period of time, wanting them to have fun, but also learn, this is a great way to do it. This is our Explorer. And the big change here is the packaging design. So again, our packaging used to be very serious. We used to say it was kind of made by engineers for engineers, and we just wanted to make it look more fun, more engaging, because it is. It's a ton of fun, and it keeps you busy and engaged for hours. So a lot of exciting stuff happening here at Snap Circuits.
Wow, it's so cool. I mean, I wish I had these things when I was growing up. I still would like to play with them as an adult. As an adult, they sound really, really cool. So yeah, so well, one similarity I noticed, right, from your involvement in Bazooka and then your recent tenure here at Elenco is you've been very involved in leadership in their philanthropic associations. And why is that important to you? And why do you believe that an association's foundation is important to the particular industry that they're in?
Sure. And what I'd say there is, first and foremost, what I love about the toy industry, and this is very similar to the confections industry, is that it's truly a community. You walk through a trade show and you see so many people you know. They're not kind of these big faceless companies. And look, while there are large companies in any industry, there are so many small companies like us at Elenco, so many family-run businesses, whether you're talking about manufacturers, whether you're talking about reps, whether you're talking about independent toy stores. And in a world like this, building relationships matter. doing what you say matters. Handshakes matter. And I just absolutely love that. And so when you think about the association, right? The Toy Association, I used to work with the National Confectioners Association. They're a great way for different parts of the industry to come together, whether you're big, whether you're small, whether you're medium, whether you're a manufacturer, whether you're a rep, whether you're a retailer, for common causes that impact, the members. And I believe a big part of that is corporate social responsibility. What better way for companies in an industry to come together than in making a difference to those in need? And when you look at the Toy Foundation, right? What could be more fun? We have toys. Who doesn't want toys? And the Toy Foundation gives the gift of play, which is an incredibly fundamental need for kids, right? It doesn't matter where you're from, whether you're rich, whether you're poor. It is a fundamental need. And the Toy Foundation gives that gift of play to thousands and thousands of kids all over the world, which is something that's incredibly important to me. And I think it's just something incredibly meaningful and special to this industry.
It's interesting. I just finished reading Adam Grant's new book called Hidden Potential, and he talks a lot about learning, and in particular, um, he focused on some polymaths, people that just collect languages, and but he also talked about different people who excelled in different fields. And one of the thing that characterized all of these people that were like at the top of their game, way above everybody else, was their ability to turn learning into play, right? They always found a way to kind of shake things up and make it new and interesting. And I hear the same thing. I study martial arts, and my karate instructor does the same thing. He's like, you have to find new and interesting ways of doing these things rather than practicing the same thing, or, but still the common thread that went through all of these is that play, that making it fun. And it's something that as adults we kind of unlearn, we kind of work out of our system. So what I think is so cool about STEM toys like the ones that you have with you there, and the way this industry is going is to insert that fun back into learning, and that makes you just learn better, and it's effortless.
Sure. I mean, I 100% agree with you. Look at Duolingo, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, people have been learning languages forever, right?
Yep.
And it can be really hard and really monotonous. Like I remember being in Latin class in high school and
Mhm.
conjugating verbs. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty dry stuff there, but they've gamified it, right? And so do you want to keep your streak going? I've taken French, I've taken Italian, and it's like, yes, I want to keep my streak going, even if it's a small lesson.
Hmm.
It's learning that I did that day, right? It doesn't feel like learning because it's a little bit of a game, but it's a lot of fun. And then, I think when you look at something like snap circuits, right? Like Snap to It,
Hmm.
if you create a short circuit, right? There's a little buzzer that goes off. And in the game, when you create a short circuit and the buzzer goes off, you have to stop what you're doing and you have to kind of explain why you've just created a short circuit,
Hmm.
and then you take your piece off and you play it someplace else.
Yeah.
So you're in the middle of playing a game, and all of a sudden you're learning about how circuits work. You're learning about how currents work. You're learning about how electricity works and what works well and what doesn't work well, and then you're adapting. So it's not only fun, but it's educational as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that community, that sense of community that you mentioned with the industry, I definitely saw it when I went with a friend of mine to the Toy Awards event that you guys had, and it really is one big family. I mean, it was amazing to see that.
Yeah, it's a great community. It's a caring community. And so again, when you look at the work that the foundation does, and the time that people donate, the toys that people donate, the money that people donate, a lot of times when you work in the world of kind of nonprofits, it's, hey, I'm going to give you some money and I'm not quite sure where it goes. Well,
Hmm.
here you can see the impact
Hmm.
of kids, whether it's kids in hospitals or kids who are in need. They have the toys. They're playing with the toys. They are smiling with the toys. And so, it's just a fantastic way, as I said, to give that gift of play, but also as someone who's involved in it, it's great to just be able to see the actual results, come to life in the face of those kids.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. So I know over the last few years, like the world has changed, especially for kids. I mean, with the whole pandemic and everything. I mean, we're out of it now, but we're still feeling the residual impacts from it. How did you help lead Bazooka through that, and what lessons did you learn from the experience that you can bring to Elenco now?
Sure. What I would say is, the world changes, but the fundamental needs of business don't really change.
Hmm.
You still need opportunities to connect with your customers. And that's one of the reasons why I love ECRM.
Hmm.
Even as we grew Bazooka from a small candy company into something much, much larger, ECRM was an incredibly important part of how we connected with our customers. And with Elenco, it's no different. In fact, you could argue it's even more important for companies like us. We are small, we are scrappy, we are hungry. We have a fantastic brand and an amazing product line, and the tremendous value that ECRM delivers of connecting us with retailers where we might not normally get that time is incredibly important. And now, with the world kind of coming back to being in person, it creates a lot of opportunities not only to meet folks face to face as opposed through just a Zoom, but networking outside of those formal meetings is incredibly valuable because you get to know people on a personal level. You really get to build those relationships. And that's where, a lot of times you end up with these kind of transactional relationships because you don't really know folks, right? You're not really talking about the things that impact your business, that impact their business. But when you've got time and when you're face to face, you can do those things. And that's how you build relationships that grow everybody's business.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I've been through the whole thing when we were doing the virtual meetings, which were amazing. I mean, they filled that role, right? It,
Sure.
it was a niche. There was nothing else. We needed that to kind of keep everything going. But as soon as we were able to, we went back to in person. And because it's those impromptu meetings, that meeting someone in hospitality during the networking functions. Maybe we're doing roundtables. Maybe we're doing we have educational sessions. So many different opportunities for people to just bump into each other around those meetings. And there's just so much buzz now. You could see the excitement. Like now that this year for our 30th anniversary, we're doing everything in person. You hear the buzz. We're seeing more people post about their experiences on social media, that they've had at our sessions, and you just feel the energies. Like everything was so bottled up. Everybody being stuck home or not traveling. But now there's just so much energy and excitement that's my favorite part. Is just the people.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. And you talked about, the Toy of the Year awards and Toy Fair and when everyone was back together, you could just it was relief.
Hmm.
People were seeing people they had not physically seen in years. And so, I think the same is true at the sessions that you guys put together for ECRM. And I think the toy one is live and in person this year as
Hmm.
well. And so, just incredibly excited to have a chance to meet more folks. I'm still new to the industry. So, for me, it's not just a chance to chat with retailers and talk about our business, but also just a great chance to meet more people in the industry and build connections and relationships.
Yeah, and like you touched on before, I mean, as an emerging brand, I mean, that's our bread and butter. That is who we're for. I mean,
Yeah.
we're sure if it's established brands launching new lines, they come, but the emerging brands, we're the way to start off those connections, to get that first initial meeting, build those relationships, and that's I love seeing the newer and newer brands coming in all the time. And the cool thing is, I mean, with the intersection of toys, electronics, and education. That's why we put our school and office, our consumer tech, and our toy sessions together in the same week because there's
Yeah.
so much overlap um, in both of those. And that kind of brings me to my next question, right? Because, like I mentioned in the intro, you're in the business of inspiring imagination, invention, and exploration. And, it goes beyond just selling toys. And it crosses all three of those areas, right? The school, the education, electronics, and play. So, how, especially your experience now in the industry, how is your role as a brand just different than merely selling toys?
Sure. And I think it's as a STEM toy company, right? I think it's all the more important. I'll just give you an example. So we moved from New York to the Chicago area for this opportunity at Elenco, and before anyone knew I worked for Snap Circuits. I walked into my daughter's classroom for back to school night, right? They'd just been in school for a couple of weeks, and there are baskets of Snap Circuits in her classroom. And I asked the teacher about it. Again, didn't say anything about
Yeah.
where I worked, and she said, "Oh, the kids love them. They love trying to figure out how to get the light to go on or the fan, the UFO to spin up in the air. But they also just like connecting them, and
Mhm.
they like seeing if they can build really cool things." And so, to me, that was incredibly, incredibly powerful. When you look at a brand like Snap Circuits, we're not just a toy company. We're not just sold where toys are sold. We are also in schools. We are also in before and after school programs, summer camps. And so there's a really big market and opportunity out there for us. And a lot of this has kind of happened organically over time. And we're in the process of building products that are specific to the education space that come with curricula and true learning. But again, that learning, just like conjugating your Latin verbs, is less impactful, when it's not fun. When it's
Mhm.
fun, you don't even know that you're learning.
Yep.
And so to me, that is the incredibly powerful thing about a brand like Snap Circuits is, we like to say it's where learning and play collide. And so if you can make it fun, if you can make it interesting, and you're learning stuff along the way, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and there's like we talked about before, there's no better way than doing it through play because it's just you're kind of digesting it through osmosis. It's just you're not focusing on the educational part, but the education is happening as you're in the process of playing.
Right. And you're doing it yourself, right? So, if you look at some of our kits, like for instance, we have a kit that's all about green energy. And there are kind of two versions of it. One's called Green Energy and Green Energy Lab, but you already have, the tools to measure solar energy, to power things by solar energy, to power things by wind energy. And when you're doing it yourself, as opposed to watching someone else do it, you're really starting to kind of internalize the things you are learning. But again, you're doing that in an incredibly fun way.
So you're the most popular dad at your kid's school?
Yeah, I went from being really popular around Halloween to now I'm really popular kind of throughout the course of the year. And it's amazing. There are so many parents who I meet when I tell them where I work and what I do. They say, "Oh, my kids have Snap Circuits. They love Snap Circuits." And so it's just again, it's a great way to connect with people. It's a great way to
Mhm.
build relationships, but it's also great to just hear the stories
Yeah.
of how kids have enjoyed the products, how much fun they have with them, and to hear that from the parents is incredibly, incredibly powerful.
Yeah, and there's no better way than seeing it being used in the field, so to speak.
That's right. That's 100% right. And so that's why when I go into schools and I see product there, or we on social media we'll see a Boys and Girls Club
Mhm.
post pictures of their kids playing with Snap Circuits. It's just great to see it out there being used, to see the kids having fun themselves.
Now, are there any particular trends that you see right out as far as Snap, STEM and Steam toys, outside of the Snap circuits, just in general, what kind of trends are you seeing in that area? Where's it going?
Sure. I think, to me, it comes back to something I said earlier, which is STEM toys have this reputation for being incredibly
Mhm.
serious. And when you look at some of the trends that the Toy Association has identified over the last couple of years, you've got this idea of kidulting, right? Which is, adults playing with toys themselves, right?
Mhm.
And so I think this idea of, fun for all ages, right? And
Yeah.
so when you bring that back to STEAM and STEM, how do you take these learning toys and how do you make them fun? How do you make them engaging? And that's really what we've been focused on. In the time that I've been at Snap Circuits, I talked about our packaging, right? The packaging's got to be fun, right?
Yeah.
If we had done this before, this would be a very kind of engineering look of, how a plane might take off. But this is you shooting a paper airplane out of, these twin rotors.
Mhm.
If we were to look at, what this package looked like before, it would have been very serious. But now you can see the bright lights, the
Yep.
colors, the UFO kind of taking off. And so that has kind of been our big focus, right?
Mhm.
How do we make sure that the products that we have are coming across as fun because they are fun?
Yeah.
And then as we build new products, how do we make sure that we are building fun into them? So again, we talked about this board game, right? You could make the argument, well, you've already got a snap circuits kit. You can already make circuits, but here we've made it a fun way
Mhm.
of, playing with your friends, playing with your family. There are ways you can, make someone lose a turn, steal someone's piece, and you're learning about circuits at the same time. So I think there's a huge opportunity in the STEM space to get across that message of fun, because I think we've kind of boxed ourselves into a little bit of a corner around very serious learning. But these are toys, and toys should be fun.
And it sounds like, and I think this is very important too, is that you made it fun for the parents too, right? Because there's nothing worse than something that requires tedious setup on behalf of. So it's fun for them to get involved.
Absolutely. And all of our products come with these great manuals that are, it's not just a bunch of text, right? There are pictures. We show you where on the board some of these pieces need to go, so that way you can kind of construct circuits. And it's really easy for whether it's parents, teachers, grandparents to help their kids if they do need it. But I mean, if you were probably 7 or older, you shouldn't have a problem being able to put one of these things together. And talking about kids and their parents kind of doing things together. One of the things we've been focused on here at Elenco, and again, this is because I'm a confectionery guy, when we talk about seasonal in the toy space, we tend to really talk about, Christmas, right? And as it's season. But one of the things I loved about the confectionery industry, and again, we would go to the ECRMs for this, is the seasonal element, right? How do you develop products for seasons?
Hmm.
And so we've already created a couple of seasonal products here at Elenco. We've got our Easter egg light. And so what this is it's a plastic Easter egg you can decorate, and then you build a circuit and you put the egg on the light that the circuit creates. And now
Hmm.
you've got a fun little Easter decoration. It's a fantastic, basket stuffer for families. And then coming out for Halloween, how many times do you carve a pumpkin and then you're like, I don't know how to light this thing, right? I don't want to put a candle in there because that may not be safe. I could put one of those little tea lights in there, but that's going to last about, 2 hours. So we've got a snap circuits powered pumpkin light. So we built some prototypes for this. We did it for my house for Halloween. These things lasted for a week
Wow.
on all day, 24 hours a day. And so again, what are those moments where parents and kids, families
Mhm.
come together, right? Those key seasons, right? The opening of the Easter baskets, Halloween, carving pumpkins. It's great ways for people to connect and for Snap Circuits to be a part of that, and also to make those connections better, to enhance them.
Yeah, see, I see the merging of Bazooka and Alenko around a project there, right? You're lighting up your pumpkin while you're eating Bazooka candy.
That's a great idea. I think I'm
Halloween,
gonna I'm gonna call my friends over there and pitch it to them.
yeah, a whole Halloween package. But you're right. Again, it's getting them involved. There's something cool, and it's even functional because it's better than just putting a tea light or something in there. So that's cool. And then you could, I'm sure you could come up with your own holidays or like your own seasons or
And
maybe
there
something
is a
for the
there is a
summer
national
or
STEM
whatever.
day. There's a
Hmm.
national STEM day every November. So again, that's one of the things that we're putting some thoughts together around.
Very cool. So how are you working with the Toy Foundation to reach parents and kids with these messages?
Sure. So, the Toy Foundation, our mission is to be the focal point of giving for the Toy Association. And look, different companies are all going to have different priorities and different organizations that they give to. But the power of something like the Toy Foundation is to kind of be able to kind of funnel all of these kind of, whether it's financial donations, toy donations, time donations, to these kids who really need it. And so what we have been working on is how do we more actively engage companies in the toy world who may not be familiar with the Toy Foundation? And then how can we get our message out there into the world? And so, the Toadies, the Toy of the Year Awards, is a great way to kind of be able to do that. But we're working on a few different ways to kind of increase our profile within the industry, and then also, get the great work that the organization does out there into the world more.
Excellent. So, last question is, for people in the industry that want to get involved in the Toy Foundation, how do they do it?
Sure. So they can reach out to the great folks at the Toy Foundation. They can visit our website. You can find out who the board members are. Reach out to them. You can reach out to me. Send me an email. We would be happy to have you. It's great to have ECRM on as a partner of the Toy Foundation. And what I would just say is, look, there are so many competing uh, needs out there, right, for all of us. But the ability to give the gift of play to a kid in need, to be able to see that really change their day, change their lives, is incredibly powerful. And so it's just a great way to support an organization that makes a meaningful impact in kids' lives.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you for all the work you do with the Toy Foundation. Thanks for all the cool products that you're making to make play fun. And I really look forward to seeing you again at our sessions in the future.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you again, Joe. Thanks for the time today.
You bet. Thank you.